Okay, this video is part 2 of solving systems of equations using elimination. And so our big question with this part is, what do I do if there are not matching coefficients? If my coefficients on the variable that I decided to get rid of isn't the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply one or both of the equations by a number so that I can force them to have matching coefficients. Alright, let's look at example 1. I have x plus 3y equals 6, and I have 2x minus 7y equals negative 1. So I have everything's lined up the way I need it, but the x, I have a coefficient of 1 and then a coefficient of 2, and then for the y, I have a coefficient of 3 and negative 7. So they don't have the same, but if I multiplied the first equation by 2, then my x's would both have a coefficient of 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2, distribute, and I get 2x plus 6y equals 12. And then the other equation already has a 2, so I'm going to just leave it alone. So 2x minus 7y equals negative 1. Well, my variable I'm trying to get rid of is x. So they both have the same sign for the x. They're both positive, so I can subtract. My x's are going to cancel. I get 6 minus negative 7. So minus and negative turns to plus. So it's 6 plus 7 is 13y. 12 minus negative 1 is 13. Divide by 13, I get y equals 1. So now I'm going to take 1 and I'm going to plug it in for y into the original equation. So I just picked the first equation that was given, plugged in 1. Get x by itself, I get x equals 3. So 3, 1 is my answer. Number 2. If I look at this one, I notice none of my coefficients, it's all lined up, but none of my coefficients are the same. So for the y, I have a 3y, and then I have just a 1y. So anytime you have one that's just 1 by itself, you can go ahead and change that one. It's the easiest one. So I can multiply the second equation by 3. Then I get 9x plus 3y equals 12. I didn't do anything to the first equation. When I multiply the second equation by 3, I get 6x plus 3y equals 15. And then my 3, the y is the variable I'm trying to get rid of. The 3 in front is positive for both, so I can subtract. 9 minus 6 is 3x, and 12 minus 15 is negative 3. Solve for x, I get x equals negative 1. Now I can plug negative 1 in for x into one of the equations from the beginning. So when I do that, solve for y, I get y equals 7, so my solution is negative 1, 7. Number 3. Again, I have a y all by itself, and then the other y has a 4. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 4. Distribute. I didn't do anything to the second equation. Now this time my y's, one's negative and one's positive, so I'm going to add to cancel them. 12 plus 5x gives me 17x. 56 plus 12 gives me 68. Solve for x, I get 4. Then I'm going to plug 4 into one of the original equations. And I get 12 minus y equals 14. I'm going to subtract the 12, and I get negative y equals 2. Well, I want positive y, so I can divide by negative 1, or I can change the sign of both parts. So I get negative 2. So my solution is 4, negative 2. Alright, and this one, again, it's all lined up, but none of the coefficients match. So I have a choice. I can either multiply by 5, or I can multiply by negative 2. I'll go ahead and multiply by 5, so that my x's will cancel. There's my new equations. They have the same sign, so I'm going to subtract. 5 minus negative becomes a plus 2 is 7. 15 negative minus 50 negative. So that's negative 15 plus 50 gives me 35. So that's y equals 5. Now I can plug 5 in where I had a y. And I can solve for x. I get negative 8. So my solution is negative 8, 5. Problem number 5. Again, I don't have the matching coefficients, but I have a y all by itself, so I can go ahead and multiply that by 3. And when I do that, I get 3x minus 3y equals negative 3, and 6x minus 3y equals negative 15. The y's are what I'm trying to get rid of. They have the same sign, so I can subtract. 3 minus 6 gives me negative 3y. Oh, that should be an x, shouldn't it? And then negative 3 minus 15 is 12. So that one I made a mistake. So this should really be an x. And then I could plug that in. I could plug -4 in for x, which is what I did here. And then when I solve it, I get y equals -3. So my answer is -4, -3. Alright, and in this one, I have a y all by itself. So I can go ahead and change that one to a 2y by multiplying everything by 2. There's my new equations. They have the same signs. The x's is what I'm trying to get rid of. They're both positive, so I can subtract. They cancel. 2y minus 2y also cancels. So I get 0 equals 4 minus 4 is 0. And that is true, so I have infinite solutions. Alright, number 7. I want you to go ahead and try this one on your own. Pause the video, give it a try. And you should have gotten -2, 3 for your answer. Number 8. If I look, okay, my x's don't match, my y's don't match. And I don't have one where it's just by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the first equation by the first number and the other equation. So I multiply by 5 to the first equation, multiply by 3 to the other equation. Okay. So that gives me 15x plus 15y equals 45. And then 15x plus 12y equals 30. 15x is what I'm trying to get rid of. They have the same sign, so I can subtract. I get 3y, because I did 15 minus 12, equals 15. 45 minus 30. Solve for y, I get y equals 5. Now I can plug 5 into one of the equations for y. I'm literally taking the y out and putting a 5 in there instead of the y. So I'm going to solve for x, subtract the 15, divide by 3. I get x equals -2, so my solution is -2, 5. Number 9. I'm going to multiply the top equation by the first number of the bottom equation, and I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by the first number in the top equation. So when I work that out, I get -10x plus 20y equals -90, and -10x minus 12y equals 6. So what I'm trying to eliminate is the -10x. They both have the same sign. They're both negative. So I can subtract. The 10x's cancel. 20y minus -12. So 20y plus 12y gives me 32y. -90 minus 6 gives me 96 negative. Divide by 32. I get y equals -3. And I can plug that into one of the original equations for y. And then I'm going to subtract 12. And then I'm going to divide by 2. And I get x equals 3. So my solution is 3, -3. Number 10. I'm going to multiply the first equation by the first number in the second equation. And I'm going to multiply the second equation by the first number in the first equation. So I get these new equations when I distribute. -14x minus 10y equals 26. -14x minus 49y equals 182. I'm getting rid of the 14x, so they have the same sign. I can subtract. Minus a negative changes it to plus, so be careful when you're doing this. Divide by 39. I get y equals -4. Now I can plug -4 in for y. Solve for x. X is 1, so my solution is 1, -4. Number 11. I'm going to multiply the first equation by 3, multiply the second equation by 2. I get 6x plus 12y equals 18, and 6x plus 12y equals 24. Well, I'm trying to get rid of the 6x, so I subtract. 6x minus 6x cancels. 12y minus 12y cancels, so I get 0 equals 18 minus 24 gives me -6. That is not true, so I have no solution. Alright, number 12. I think I want you to try this one on your own. You should get 7, -5.